If you've ever wondered how you can use your Instagram to actually grow your business, I have got an episode for you. My guest, Charlyn Ooi, and I chat all about Instagram, but not just Instagram, how to actually get our leads off Instagram. So we're going to dive into lead magnets and what makes an actually good lead magnet. And then we're going to go into things like ManyChat and automations that are going to help to get people from Instagram to actually get them to comment on your posts and get them out of Instagram so you can build your email list, because having an email list is far more powerful and far more effective than just followers on Instagram. So stay tuned for this episode. I think you're going to love it and find it so useful. And if you haven't met Charlyn before, she is a dietitian turned business and marketing coach who specializes in helping dietitians and nutritionists to build profitable online practices. She started her dietitian private practice in Perth with a vision of helping thousands of people with gut issues. And in just 2 years, she achieved this goal, growing her online practice to multiple six figures, serving clients worldwide through her hybrid program model. And with a thriving Instagram community of over 80,000 followers, Charlyn now mentors other health professionals to start, grow, and scale their freedom-filled online practice. She has guided over 750 practitioners in packaging their expertise online, empowering them to work smarter, create bigger impact, and scale their business beyond hourly rates. Outside of work, Charlyn is an avid traveler, wife, mum to her 8-year-old girl, and recently she moved to Malaysia after calling Perth her home for 20 years. And like many dietitians, she is a foodie at heart. So I'm so excited for you to hear this episode. Let's dive on in. Welcome, Charlyn, to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me, Jacqui. I'm really excited for our chat today.
I am as well. I have just been featured on your podcast, I think like 2 weeks ago when this will be coming out. Or last week. So that was very exciting. So thank you for having me there. And I'm excited to have you on mine.
Yeah, it was actually yesterday. I know time flies when you're a business owner and a mum.
Well, I am thinking of when this comes out a week after us recording it, then it'll make more sense for last week. So that's perfect. Okay. So I want to ask you a question I ask all of my guests, which is, what does an average day in the life of you look like, in your life and your business? Like, what does things actually look like behind the scenes, and how do things roll and work?
Great question. And I think it changes in various season of life and business. I have an 8-year-old. I remember back in the early days, it was very different. It was kind of hard to find a routine, but thankfully she goes to school now and we've got quite a decent routine going. So for a long time in my life, I always aimed to wake up at 5 a.m. to get work done. But I realized over the years of business, I'm not that kind of person. No matter how hard I try, I would still snooze my alarm. So I typically get up at about 7 in the morning. And then, my daughter gets ready for school and all of that. And I'll get dressed up. And I really, in the morning, I like to take things slow because that's kind of when I find I'm the most creative. So I like to kind of take it slow, have my morning coffee and let the ideas come to me. And I sit at my desk at 9 o'clock, and the first thing that I do is check in with my team. So I have 2 arms to my business. I offer business coaching for dietitians and nutritionists, and I also run a virtual assistant agency as well. So I would put on the hat of a CEO in the morning, get all of everyone sorted and make sure that they all good to go for the day. And then next thing I'll do is check in with clients. And afterwards I see clients 3 days a week, and the other 2 days are really focused on CEO activities where I work on my business, do the bigger picture planning, record my podcast and any kind of content stuff. I like to batch things. And I typically finish work at about 4. Sometimes I'll work in the evening, just depending on the season and stages. Like I said, being a mum, it kind of goes in ebbs and flows and changes as well. So I don't have like a fixed routine where every day looks the same, but I make sure that I carve out time in the evening to spend time with my family. It kind of changes.
Yeah, I bet it's so different in that season, but that was a really great overview. I didn't realize you had the second side, so that's really cool to hear about how you kind of work through and manage both of those sides as a business owner. And I think it's really great. Like, I know that we're recording this on one of your CEO days, so I love that you have that time set aside where you're not, because I think sometimes as business owners we let ourselves just get full of seeing clients all the time. We don't actually get time to think more strategically and work on the business and actually grow the business, so that when those clients leave us, that we're not just left with no more clients left because we have never been doing any work on the business.
Yeah, it's changed so much. Look, over the years, I think especially in the beginning, I was very much into the doing, because when you're setting up your business, you kind of, are on a shoestring and do everything yourself. And coming from a clinical dietitian, private practice dietitian background, where we're so used to seeing clients after clients, you're on a time crunch, and time is money in a sense. The more clients you can fit in your day, the more you can make. And I had to make a lot of shifts over the years to make sure that I set up freedom and space in my schedule, lots of space for me to be at my best, because my mindset, it's so important, like me working on the business is so important, because if I don't, nobody else would. All my team members are busy working in the business, serving our clients, getting things done. And I need to make sure that I'm filling my cup to lead the vision for the business.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, now I want to move into talking about Instagram, but kind of also not talking about Instagram. So I'd love to chat to you about this idea that Instagram is really great, social media is really great, but we don't really want to keep people there. Can you share with me why we don't just want people to be following us on Instagram, and how we can kind of, I guess, what are some reasons for, as business owners, that we want to move people off Instagram and maybe onto an email list?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Look, if you asked me this question about maybe 5, 6 years ago, I would give you a very different answer. Because back then, I think that Instagram, it's still a really great platform for generating organic leads. And over the years, it's shifted a little bit, a lot actually. And, with the pandemic, there's a lot of online businesses popping up. So it is quite a busy space. I built 2 businesses based off organic leads on Instagram, that generated millions of dollars. So, I love Instagram. I also have, moments of it where I think, if Instagram wasn't there, what would I do with my business? And that's when I realized that I need to think of ways to take people that I meet that come across my brand on Instagram and leading them down a journey where I can continue to get to know them, and they can get to know me, and have those points of contact, in a sense, where they then eventually become a customer. So I'm talking about the customer buyer journey, because not everyone that comes across us on social media are ready to buy right away. These unicorn clients are rare to come by. And it's really thinking, over the years, I've come to realize that everyone buys at their own time. And so you've got people who come across you and instantly connects with your brand, and they buy something from you. There are also people, depending on the price point of what you sell, need a longer nurture journey. And so thinking about how you can take them. So Instagram is kind of top of the funnel. They come across you, and you want to take them down to middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel in that customer journey. And that's where we're thinking of email marketing. We're thinking about webinars. We're thinking about having conversations on sales calls and running promotions, through email marketing. So for me, I see my email list as a really valuable asset. Not just Instagram, but Instagram kind of leads people into the email list, but that's where you can run promotions. That's where you can invite them to progress that journey further along with you. And, there's some stats out there where it says about 10 to 20% of people see your post on social media, on Instagram specifically.
I feel like it's less than that.
Yeah, I personally, when I looked at the stat, I think it's less than 10%, depending on how big your following is and what your engagement rate is. And for a lot of the bigger accounts, their engagement rate is under 1%. And so not many people will see your content, but a lot of people open their emails, they would have notifications pop up. And the typical open rate for emails, I tell my clients aim for about 40%, but on average, I think it's about 25 to 30%. So you have a higher chance of getting your content seen by people in the emails.
Yeah. I think it's such a great point. Like we put all of this focus on Instagram, which is great. Like it's a wonderful tool, but at the same time, a lot of us neglect our email list if we have one. And it's like, well, we've got a lot higher chance of being seen by sending an email than we do of posting 20 times on social media. And so, okay, if we want to build our email list, if we've got one or we want to build it from scratch, or we've got one and we just want to build it even more, what are some really effective ways that we can use to get people from Instagram onto an email list?
Yeah, great question. Look, I think the first step is a lead magnet. You want to give something in return for their email address. Gone are the days people will naturally opt in to your newsletter or company emails or whatsoever. They want something from you, in a sense, to give them a taste of what it's like working with you. So having a really enticing lead magnet that's juicy, that answers a question, a frustrating question that they have, would be the first step. So you want to have a lead magnet, they opt in, they give you the email address, and then sending them a welcome sequence where you can, start the relationship, start the conversation going, and then they go into your, what we call your general weekly or fortnightly, depending on how often you send that email. So those can continue that conversation and relationship as well. So your lead magnet is one way. The second way is using tools. There's many tools out there these days. I like ManyChat. It's very easy to use, and you can use ManyChat in a way to automate the response. So if someone were to comment a certain keyword, then you would set up ManyChat to trigger an automated message through the DM, sending them to your opt-in page, or if you set it, you can set up ManyChat in different ways, and you can get the email address within your DMs itself. So that can also be really cool. It reduces the chances of people dropping out when they go to your opt-in page. So yeah, ManyChat, having a lead magnet, and then using your stories as well. I think that's really an underrated way, because your most warm leads, your warmest leads, are hanging out in your stories, watching your day to day. So this is where you can also start the conversation going, put out a poll or something, someone's interested, you can then get the email address in the DMs from there.
Yeah. And so would you recommend doing that through something like ManyChat, or something just more personally? If I've seen this person interact with my poll or with my story, I'm going to just message them and say, hey, can I have your email address?
Yeah, look, I think you can do it both ways. If you have a small audience and you're at the start of your business, we tend to have a bit more time to engage with people. And I think that those personal touch points are really important, because you leave an impression and they know that, oh, it's someone, a person, a real person reaching out to me, having a conversation. So you can get the email address and then add them to your email list. Otherwise, yeah, ManyChat is great. It saves you time. It's super instant, because for me, I've got clients, my audience is very global. So I've got lots of people in the US whilst I'm sleeping in the Australian time zone. I've got people downloading my lead magnet, going through my funnels, getting my emails, opting into my webinars and different things. So it is really powerful. And I think that people want that instant gratification these days, when they want stuff instantly. And so it's really nice for them to be able to access it right away, rather than, you waking up, maybe your day gets really busy and you don't respond to them for another day or two, and they might forget what they've asked for in the first place. And so it's really helpful to get it to them quickly.
Yeah, exactly. I remember before I started using ManyChat, I was like, I'm only getting a couple of comments on my post. I'll just do it manually. And it was a little bit stressful being like, oh, this person's commented, like, oh, and yes, they'd do it in the middle of the night. And I'd be like, oh no, what's happened? And like, as an example for those listening, I just had someone opt in via Instagram to one of my free challenges. And then I woke up in the morning and I've got a course purchase, because they've gone through my whole funnel the whole time while I've been asleep, because everything is set up to be automated. So I think there's so much to be said for automating that, and putting that into action, and doing it really strategically with a really great lead magnet and a really great funnel. Do you have any suggestions around what lead magnets are performing well at the moment? I know that I feel like lead magnets and what's working changes a little bit depending on what people are liking and engaging with and stuff. Do you have any insights to what you find is working at the moment?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked this question, because I was chatting to a few clients about this last week. Look, I think lead magnets, depending on what business you have, the most important piece is that it has to answer a frustrating problem that your audience face. It doesn't matter if it's in the form of a PDF guide, a checklist, a quiz, or you can even use a webinar as a lead magnet, right? So there are many different formats for it. The most important thing, number one, is it has to answer a frustrating problem, a question for them. Number two, it has to be easy to consume, because no one's going to have time to sit through and read like an ebook of 50 pages. What their problem? They want to get to the gist of it and get a quick win from it. So this leads me to the third point. It needs to be set up to give people a quick win, to feel like, yes, I can tackle this. And yes, I see that I need more help. And that's number 4. You kind of want to create the awareness that, yes, you have this problem, but there are a few steps to get this sorted. Give them a quick win, they get excited, and then you lead them into exploring different ways that they can get more help from you. So it's kind of a stepwise process. And I think that for me, I've got lead magnets in different formats. I've got an ebook, I've got a checklist, I've got a challenge as well. And it just depends on what we're promoting at the moment. We can switch things up. And I don't think that you need to just stick to one lead magnet forever. You can test different things out and see what works for your business.
Yeah, that's so true. I love everything you've just said. I think that's totally spot on. The idea of giving them a quick win. I have this problem of always trying to give too much information, and then they're either overwhelmed and they don't do anything, or they've got too much now. They're like, I don't need Jacqui's help with anything else. And I'm like, well, actually you do, because you're not really doing that right, but you just think you're doing that right, and then it's actually worse for them in the end. So yeah, I love the idea of giving a quick win and really sharing some really quality stuff with them, showing off how incredible you are at what you do, and then encouraging them, you know what, let's actually get this properly sorted for you, is how you can work with me. And I like that idea too of sharing, of having more than one lead magnet. I was talking to a coach recently, and she said even just every month or two, or every month or 2 or 3, if you have the capacity to build another one, pop it out there and see what happens. Like, try a different format, try a different way of doing it, try different content, and be a CEO and work out what's working. Do some tests, see what's performing, and see what your audience is being drawn to. And I think that's really clever.
Absolutely. Look, I believe hugely in looking at the metrics in your business and what's working. If something's working, don't change it. Like, I have a lead magnet. It's an Instagram Reels guide. So there's 50 ideas in there. And for many, I've had it out there for, I would say, probably 2.5 to 3 years now. I keep asking myself, should I change and create something new? But the numbers don't lie. People are loving it, still downloading it, and there's always new people coming into my funnel. So they are coming through that way. And then, 3 months, 6 months, or even 2 years later, I'll see that person join or purchase one of our courses or programs. And I look back and go, oh, they started downloading into my funnel through this lead magnet, and they've come through a journey of all the email marketing and things that are automated, and now they've made that purchase. And so look at what's working. I believe in testing, but don't keep changing things up. You got to look at how you can be efficient in business as well, and optimize what's working.
100%. Yeah, I have a similar lead magnet. I've had it for ages, and all parts of my being. And I find people say the same about their branding. They just they're getting bored of it. They just want to change it. But it's like, your branding's working. If your lead magnet's working, leave it.
Sometimes we get bored of it ourselves, right?
Exactly. It's not actually the data that's saying that. I just wanted to interrupt for a moment to say that if you're enjoying this episode, I would love to invite you to my free 3-part video training to help you to create your own stunning visual brand, helping you to grow your business faster and to feel and look $1 million. If you're ready for the best year of business yet, then join over 1,000 business owners who have already taken part in the challenge to get started on creating your own brand. Join us today at whitedeer.com.au/challenge. That's the color white, the animal deer.com.au/challenge. Cannot wait to see you there. Let's get back to the episode. So we've got a really great lead magnet. We're sharing that on our Instagram. Do you find any particular ways that are good to share lead magnets? Is it just as simple as, here's my lead magnet, or do we need to be more strategic about how we share things?
Yeah, really good question, Jacqui. I think there are so many different ways that you can talk about your lead magnet without really talking about it. In a sense, you can be really subtle about it, or you can be really obvious. So I would always recommend, whenever you launch something new or have a lead magnet out there, make sure you create a pin post for it. So like a carousel, in a sense, pin it to the top of your feed so that when people come to your page, they will see it. And then with posts that you do, if you were doing carousels, I would, if it's relevant to the topic, the call to action will be leading to the lead magnet. So I'll get people to comment a keyword and I'll send it to them. But sometimes I realize that not everyone is comfortable with openly commenting a keyword or commenting on your post. They might be a bit shy. And so we want to make it easy for people to take action. So thinking about, okay, if they were watching your stories, put in a link sticker there so that people can tap on that link directly to go download it. Or like I suggested with the ManyChat keyword automation, you can get the email addresses within your DM itself using ManyChat so that you can automatically tag them and add them to your list. So yeah, I think that there's multiple ways. And if you have an offline business, or if you go to run workshops in person, you can also, I talked about it recently with a client where she was running an in-person workshop. She created a QR code so people at the event can just scan and opt into her lead magnet, which adds another layer of value that you're offering. And people remember that, and that helps to keep you front of mind.
Yeah, totally. I just got around like the QR code on like presentations and stuff recently. So I was doing a talk, and I was like, and even in a masterclass, you could do this as well, like a webinar. You just pop a QR code on there, and then people can just either straight away go to your freebie, or straight away go to your sales page, or whatever your QR code goes to. It just takes that one extra step for them. And people love scanning QR codes. We're like, oh, get my phone out. Get a little link. And it's like, oh,
it's
cool.
Everywhere. Yeah.
So I think that's a really great tip. And yes, it's that idea that we can have like that really obvious kind of post, but also just remembering that I guess you can create content around the problem that your lead magnet solves, and then direct them to your lead magnet at the end of that caption, or the end of that reel, or the end of that carousel, like you mentioned. And that's more organic way to share, and helping them to realize, actually, I do need this lead magnet, rather than just be like, here's a lead magnet, better download it. And it's like giving them reasons to do that, I think is really, really clever as well.
Yeah, I think it's key to tell them and share with them why they would need it. And often, I talk about this, my clients a lot, they are shy to talk about it. They don't want to keep nagging people to download it. But we have to remember, again, looking at the statistics, maybe 10% or even less of people see your post on social media. So you need to keep talking about it. I would say at least once a week, once to twice, if you can, because you're giving them something free. So there's nothing salesy about it. You're sharing with them something that can be incredibly helpful for them. So don't hold back on it.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And it's such a mind game of us as business owners being like, oh, I've shared about that too many times. And you're like, you posted about it twice, Jacqui. You really should did. Like, people aren't seeing it. And the people that may be seeing every single one of your posts, they're seeing every single one of your posts because they love you, and they're not going to mind seeing the same lead magnet post like 10 different times, even because you're sharing about it in different ways. You're almost like, if you've got a 3-page lead magnet that's speaking to 3 different points, you can share one different point, like the problem awareness of each point, on 3 different social media posts. Like, it doesn't have to be the same stuff over and over. You're taking different angles each of those times.
That's right.
Sharing at least great tip.
Yeah, my clients, sometimes they will be using recipes, ebook as a lead magnet. So I would encourage them to perhaps make the recipe, show them what it's like, in a reel or story format, and say, if you love this, I've got 20 more or something in this ebook here that you can download. So you're kind of actually showing them how to do it and what's in there to encourage them to download it.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so you mentioned ManyChat, and I think it's a great thing to get around. What are some other things that we should know, or like some best practices around doing that well, or some things we need to remember when we're doing ManyChat?
Yeah, a few things that comes to mind with that. So first of all, we want to keep the keyword simple. I made this mistake early on where, it's a more complicated keyword. People could get the spelling wrong. And so again, come back to, okay, how can I make it simple and easy? Give them a keyword that's less risk of spelling mistakes and things like that. So keep it really simple. And second thing is, think of the keyword, the first interaction they have with you, as kind of a start of a relationship, but it doesn't have to stop there. So a strategy for listeners thinking about how you can continue that conversation in the DM. So let's say they DM you a keyword. The first message would be, hey, thanks for your interest. Here's the link to download it if you were doing it through the opt-in way. And then continue that conversation. It doesn't stop there. So you could do a time delay, and a smart delay, they call it in ManyChat, to automate the next message and say, hey, I'd love to know, did you manage to download it? Did you have any questions from there, to keep the conversation going? And I personally, with a podcast and lots of content that I've created already, would then say, can you let me know which stage of business you're at so I can share with you something that can help you? So then I would, when they click on that link in the DM, then it would send them to a webinar, or, whatsoever, a podcast episode that I know is going to help someone if they're thinking about scaling. So it's getting smart about leveraging the tools that you have, and then a human can come in and continue the conversation from there.
Yeah. And so for that last little tip that you shared, is that this is literally just picking for my own benefit now.
Yeah.
When you're asking what stage of business they're in, like, do you have like some buttons that they can choose which one they're in, and then depending on which button they click, it will say like, oh, if you're in your early stages, this podcast will be really great for you?
That's correct. Yeah. So you can add buttons to it. The first you set it up in a way where you want to think about the different types of audience that you've got. So you may be having someone who's at the very start, someone who's thinking about creating something specific, someone who's thinking about scaling. So if you have different offers or funnels set up, you can link that through the button. So when they click that, I also set it up where, let's say if they say they're at the start, they may go download or watch one of my webinars, then they get a tag added. Then ManyChat can talk to my email marketing campaign to say that this person's clicked that, and they now have that tag added.
Yeah. It's also intricate, but I feel like, when you do it right, it can be a really, really powerful tool. And like you mentioned, not just stopping at here's the freebie, but like asking them how it went. And even if you don't automate that part, like if you're a smaller business and you're only getting like 10 people comment on your posts or less, then you can go in personally and message some of those people as well and say, how did you like it? Even if you don't automate that, although you can automate it, which will takes a load off, but you can still, I guess what I'm trying to say is combine, like you mentioned as well, combine the automations with personal touch. Like you can still, just because it's the conversation started off with an automation, doesn't mean it needs to always stay that way. I think it's really great to keep an eye on the DMs that are coming in and jump in personally yourself as well to keep that conversation going and nurture people that way as well.
Absolutely. And sometimes, your message goes to the request folder. So, if you use ManyChat, it will end up in the request folder if they're not following you or haven't interacted with you in the past. And so you want to go in as a human as well and say, hey, just checking in, did you manage to download it? And I'll do that from time to time as well, just to make sure that it moves our conversation from the kind of request to the primary folder so we can continue that conversation. And I also do think that, in today's day and age where there are so many businesses out there, competition is normal, it's not a threat in a sense, but look at ways where you can be just a little bit different. You have the edge over your competitors. So, a way that I find is just building those connections, because when you have multiple touch points, and this is marketing statistics as well, it can take a customer somewhere between 8, I think sometimes even more, 8 to 17 touch points before they make a purchase with you. So dropping into their inbox and checking in on them and asking them, how can I be of help to you? That's a touch point there that I think people would really value, and personally value that, where they can come and they know they can connect with you, talk to you, a real human, rather than just automated AI, and they would appreciate that, and that keeps you front of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've found in this season of life, I've got 2 young kiddos, and so I'm often doing voice notes instead of typing because it's so much easier. And every time I do a voice note, someone's like, oh, that was so personal, thanks for doing that. I'm like, I was just doing it for practicalities, but yes, it's really me here. I'd love to keep talking to you. And people are so quite touched at this, like the personal message. But so just, thinking about ways you can make things more personal. I love that. I think, and it helps us, I think, too, to enjoy our business more when we're actually making real human connections with people as well as serving them through these automations as well. I think it's just such a great kind of like package deal that we can utilize these automations. We can bring in the personal touch. We can run our businesses in a way that doesn't burn us out, but still gets people sharing and having our content and being served by that as well. So I think that's such a great mix. Do you have any like final suggestions or tips we can remember around this whole idea of building our email list from Instagram?
Look, I think Instagram, a lot of people have a love and hate relationship with it, in a sense that, like it serves you, but a lot of us don't have a lot of time, or maybe we're just not natural extroverts where we love being on camera all the time. And I would suggest, think of Instagram as one of your core non-negotiable marketing activity every day. So think about how you can show up to serve your audience without it taking all your energy and bandwidth. So one suggestion I would have is try and batch create content and schedule things out as much as you can. If you have young kids, I've got a little, not so little 8-year-old, and sometimes she just needs me and I want to be there as well. So I try and have time on my schedule blocked out to batch create content so it's done. And then I would pop in every day for 5-10 minutes to have those touch points and conversations with people. And I think that is valuable because I can see that when someone comes through and works with us, they remember that conversation that we have. And as much AI is taking over the world in a sense, and we're using a lot of AI in our business as well, but I still am very much in the business, talking to clients, talking to people who are interested, who are working with us, and having those extra touch points. And I think that's super key.
100% agree. Well, thank you for sharing that. I think that was such a great point. Like, I love your tips around lead magnets, around using ManyChat, and just really highlighting how powerful, I guess, email is over things like, I guess, when it's used in conjunction with a platform like Instagram, it can find us new leads and then we can bring them into our world and nurture them and sell to them via emails a little bit easier. If we want to work with you and get in touch or see more of you, how can we get into your world?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So you can connect with me on Instagram. It's at Charlyn Ooi, so my full name. I have a VA agency, like I mentioned as well. It's virtualassistants.co. So that's where we offer virtual assistant and admin support, tech funnel setup, social media support for health business owners. Being a health professional myself, that is an area where I know how busy life can get. So if you're interested in getting a VA support, you can connect with us there, or you can come to my website. It's charlynooi.com, just my name.
Yay. Thank you so much for that. I'll have all of those links below for anyone who's wanting to jump onto those. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciated learning from you today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. It's great to chat.
See ya. So thanks for joining Charlyn and I hope you found that as useful as I did. Make sure you hit Charlyn up and give her a follow. And if you're not already, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast so you can hear more insights around branding and business and just all the stuff that you need to know to grow a business in this climate. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you next week for another episode. Bye.